Hello friends, my name is Prem Surani and today in this video we are going to discuss this peasant movements in the Rajasthan, and yes, we are going to discuss this Bijolia movement, and this was the first organized peasant movement of the Rajasthan, also of the India, and it lasted between 1897 to 1941. Yes, it was the real period of this movement. So this was of 44 years long, peasant battle. So we'll discuss in detail how this Bijolia movement was organized, what were the issues behind this Bijolia movement. So let's get started. So the first thing we should know that where this Bijolia is actually situated. So it is the district of Bhilwara. In the district of Bhilwara, this place of Bijolia was situated, and still now it is there. And it was earlier under the Udaipur Riyasat. This was the part of Udaipur Riyasat or Udaipur Princely State. Okay, so it was the battle of Khanwa, battle of Khanwa, that had happened between Babar and Rana Sanga. This was, so it was fought between Babar and Maharana of Sanga. Okay, so this Sanga, not Ranga, that is Sanga. So he participated. This was the person, Ashok Parmar. He participated for Rana Sangha and he fought very bravely, and therefore Sangha had awarded him with this Bijolia Thikana. So what Thikana does mean? The Thikana means, for example, this is a state territory. This much of area is there in a state. So there are some parts, revenue parts, okay, revenue lands. So for example, this is the revenue land. This is also a revenue land. So this much of part was given to this Ashok Parmar, and now Ashok Parmar could raise the taxes or could rule this region. Although it was the main chief was the Maharana Sangha only, but now he was provided with some powers of taxation and ruling powers. Okay, so these thikanas were of the nature of class A, class B, and this class A, class B was according to the power and prestige of the person. Okay, so it was the Bijolia Thikana who it was actually established by Ashok Parmar, and it was the Dhakad caste community of the peasant behind this movement. Okay, so this could be asked in the prelims. So it was a class A Thikana under Udaipur Riyasat, established by Ashok Parmar, and the movement was organized by this Dhakad community caste. Okay, so now we come to the next part of the movement. Before discussing these regions of the peasant movement, I would like to discuss here the phases of this movement. So I can divide this movement into three phases: the phase 1, phase 2, and this phase 3. Okay, so the phase first was between 1897 to I can say 1950. Okay, this was between 1916 to 22, and this was between 1923 to 1941. Okay, so this was the first phase. First phase was generally of auto flash nature, means there was nothing like organized thing. Okay, and the second most important thing was it was local in nature, means there was no nationalization of this issue. And the third thing I could say, this was non-violent also. There was no violence. This non-violence was the feature of all the three phases. Okay, so now we come to the second phase, and here I can say the most important leader was Sadhu Sitaram. Okay, right. Now this phase was between 1960 to 22, and the most important leader here was Vijay Singh Pathik. Vijay Singh Pathik. Okay, and the most important feature of this second phase, that it was organized in nature because of this Vijay Singh Pathik. Okay, so it was organized in nature. The third thing I would say, that still it was local in leadership, means there were local leaders, but national nature was there, means the issue got nationalized because of this Vijay Singh Pathik and Manikyalal Verma. Okay, so this was the second feature, and here you can say the women, children, students, all had participated in this movement because of, again I would say, Vijay Singh Pathik. Okay, so in the page of 1923 to 41, the important leaders here were Manikyalal Verma was there, but the main leader was Jamna Lal Bajaj and Hari Bhau Upadhyay. Okay, so these were the main leaders, and again this was non-violent, and the final agreement could be reached in the period of 1941. So I can divide this movement into these three phases. So you have to remember this one in a phased manner. Okay, the reasons of the this movement. The number one reason was, peasants were always in the problem. Even in the history of India, you can see most of the peasants were in the problems only. Agrarian distress was the part of our society. Okay, agrarian distress was always there, right? And the most important factor here, it was the semi-colonial nature of the government. Semi-colonial nature of the government means what? Nature of the government, it means what? It means at one hand there was East India Company that was the supreme in our country at that time. Under this chief or the princely states were existing. These were the princely states. Okay, and under these princely states there were many jagirdars also there. Jagirdars or thikanas, we can say. Thikanas were there, and the last creature was this farmer. Okay, so this was the farmer. Now they all had their financial or revenue needs, and this was the farmer who actually had to bear the burden of this financial needs of these all three. Okay, so he will be charged some taxation by the jagirdars will pay some amount to the princely states, and they will also pay to East India Company. So this was the nature of our society, that was semi-colonial nature, and this was the most exploitative feature of our society at that time, and this was the reason why the farmers were in distress at that time. Okay, so this was the one thing, semi-colonial nature of the government. The second thing here, I would say, that was the land revenue taxes. Land revenue taxes were very high. Okay, they were very high, and in Rajasthan this system was known as Lata Kunta system. Lata Kunta system, that is, you can say, tax on standing crop. Tax on standing crop. Okay, how much tax is to be charged on the standing crop, that was decided by this particular system, and this was Lata Kunta system. So land revenue assessment was of three type at that time in India. The number one was, if you have have some crop and you have produced that crop. For example, this was the amount of this crop. Okay, so after threshing means आप क्या करते हो, भूसा उसमें से हटा देते हो. तो after threshing, now you are left with this amount of grain. Okay, earlier this was the amount, now this is the amount. So now part of this grain is to be shared with the jagirdar, and this system was the one system. Okay, in the second system, that was Lang Batai system. So in that Lang Batai, what you will do, you will share this amount of grain, means without threshing you have to share the portion of your produce. Okay, so this was to be shared by the jagirdar. Okay, the amount of this grain was to be shared by the jagirdar. Okay, in one system you are sharing this after threshing, and in the other system, that was Lang Batai, you are sharing before threshing. Okay, with the jagirdar. And the third system was Khet Batai. So in that Khet Batai, what you will do, for example, you have produced some crop on these three fields. Okay, these are the three fields. So now you will be said like this field belongs to jagirdar, or this and this field belong to jagirdar. Whatever you are going to produce with the help of these two fields will definitely go to the jagirdar. So this was the Khet Batai. So these three type of systems were existing over that period of time. So this was the land revenue taxation system, or the assessment of land revenue. In Rajasthan it was known as Lata Kunta system, that was tax on standing crop. Okay, so this was the second factor. Now we come to the third factor, and the third factor here was the most important one, that was Begari. Begari means what? Begari means the forced labor you have to pay, forced labor. And the most cruel aspect of this forced labor was that was unpaid, means you will not even be paid for this forced labor. So this was the cruel aspect of this Begari. Okay, so this was the third reason. The fourth reason I would say here, that was other Lagbag taxes. What is Lagbag taxes? Lagbag taxes were No, apart from land revenue, apart from land revenue taxes, there were some other illegal taxes, additional taxes. They were under the form of lagbag taxes, so they were known as lagbag taxes, and there were 80 plus lagbag taxes in Rajasthan at that time. So you could understand the situation of the farmers, how they were actually surviving. These many taxes were there on the shoulders of the farmers. Okay, so this was the fourth issue, and important issue was this type of social taxes. Yes, social taxes were also there. For example, the tax on kettles. कितने पशु हैं आपके पास, उस पे भी आपको टैक्स देना पड़ेगा. द सेकंड टैक्स आई वुड से हियर दैट वाज chowri. Yes, this you have to remember because this could be asked in 2 markers. Chowri tax was the tax at the time of peasants daughters marriage. Okay, peasants daughters marriage. Okay, so this tax was to be paid to the jagirdar if you want to marry your daughter. So this tax was also applied. This was a kind of social tax. The third social tax I could say here, that was talwar bandhai. It means what? Whenever there is a new jagirdar, means power, he is coming to the power, new jagirdar is coming to the power, then he will raise a new type of tax, and that was talwar bandhai. So it was imposed when a new ruler was coming into the power. Okay, new ruler is coming to the power. Okay, so these many taxes were existing at that period of time. So we come to the slide part once again, and we'll see how these taxes were there. The first, I told you that semi-colonial nature of the princely state was responsible for the this agrarian distress. The second system I told you, that was the Lata Kunta system, that was land revenue settlement type. Third, I told you, that was lagbag taxes, that is nothing but the illegal additional taxes. And the fourth one was begari, that was unpaid also. Next was talwar bandhai, it was the tax imposed when a new ruler coming into the power. And the last one was the chowri tax, means the time at the time of the marriage of a not jagirdar here, actually this is at the marriage of a peasant's daughter. Okay, so next we come to the phase 1. So I told you that it can be divided, this phase, this movement can be divided into 3 phases, and the first phase was started in 1897. So it was the period of 1894 where all the things were settled, but it was the period of 1894 when Rao Krishna Singh came to the power, and he actually made some of the temporary taxations permanent in nature. Number 1, he made some of the taxes permanent in nature, otherwise they were occasional taxes. The second thing what he did, he raised the taxations. Okay, he raised the taxes. Number 2, and he also levied some of the illegal taxes. Okay, illegal taxes. So the farmers were organized or getting organized, and it was the Nanji and Thakri Patel who actually decided that we should meet the Maharana of Udaipur, because this Thikana was under the Udaipur princely state. Okay, so they decided to meet the Maharana. They also met the Maharana, but there was no end result, and it actually boosted the confidence of this Rao Krishna Singh. Because of inaction of Maharana, he got boosted, and he actually imposed a tax of chowri. Chowri tax was imposed by him, and this was, I have told you, this tax was, if you want to marry your daughter, you have to pay some tax to the jagirdar, and ₹5 was imposed on each farmer if he wanna marry his daughter to somebody. Okay, so this was the tax imposed by Rao Krishna Singh. Now what happened, the peasants got organized and they protested against this chowri tax. Finally Krishna Singh had cut the chowri tax, and certain other taxes were also reduced by this Rao Krishna Singh. So this was the end result of this opposition of the farmers. Okay, so I'll tell you this story in Hindi also, so you could remember this in a better way. ये फेज था 1897 का, जब राव कृष्णा सिंह अपॉइंट हुए थे नए जागीरदार. उन्होंने क्या किए, कुछ टैक्सेस को परमानेंट कर दिया, कुछ टैक्सेस को बढ़ा दिया, इलीगल टैक्सेस इंपोज कर दिए. सो किसानों ने सोचा कि ये तो गलत है, एंड नानजी एंड ठाकरी पटेल गॉट ऑर्गेनाइज, एंड दे मेड द महाराणा ऑफ उदयपुर. महाराणा से मिलते हैं, वो महाराणा कुछ एक्शन नहीं लेते हैं, जिसके कारण कृष्णा सिंह का दुस्साहस और बढ़ जाता है, और वो लगा देते हैं चौरी टैक्स. है ना, चौरी टैक्स क्या था, किसान की जो बेटी है उसकी शादी होने पर चमड़ी टैक्स लगाया जाता था। ओके, सो ये कंडीशन थी आफ्टर फेज 1। ओके, सो अभी फेज 1 समाप्त नहीं हुआ है, अभी विल सी सम अदर डिटेल्स ऑल्सो। नाउ in the year of 1903, this Krishna Singh actually died and he had no son or no daughter, so therefore some other relative of him came into the power, and it was the Prithvi Singh, and he was an outsider. Okay, so he did not know what the conditions were there for the peasants, so he was completely unaware of the situations of the farmer, and he had no sympathy for the farmers at that time. Okay, so he imposed the new tax, that was Talwar Bandhai, and this was the tax, that at the time of succession, or whenever there is a new ruler coming into the power, this tax was imposed on the farmers or the peasants. Okay, and he actually made this taxation system very cruel of in nature, and this was the main factor once again why these leaders were organized again. And it was the Sadhu Sitaram, this was the most important leader, you have to remember his name: Fateh Karan Charan, Brahmadev Dadhich, Nathulal Kamdar, and Ramji Lal Sunar. These leaders organized and they actually protested against this cruel taxation system, and they organized 1500 peasants and left their land fallow, means उन्होंने कुछ नहीं उगाया अपनी लैंड पे और ऐसे ही छोड़ दी कि अब किससे टैक्स लोगे, हमने कुछ उगाया नहीं। ठीक है, तो इसको बोलते हैं फैलोइंग। अपनी जमीन को खाली छोड़ देना मतलब फैलोइंग। ठीक है, उपजाऊ होने के बावजूद लैंड को खाली छोड़ते हैं तो उसको बोलते हैं फैलोइंग। सो व्हाट हैपेंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस ऑर्गेनाइज्ड पीजेंट मूवमेंट, he actually had to cut, finally 6 lagbag taxes were removed out of 81 taxes, and finally in the period in this period 1906, this Prithvi Singh also died, and his minor son came into the power, that was Kesari Singh. So when Kesari Singh came into the power, two people, one was Munsrim, or you can say in general term that is manager. So the manager appointed to him, it was Amar Singh Ranawat. He was appointed as a manager to this one, and the deputy Munsrim, or the deputy manager, you can say, it was Dungar Singh Bhati. They both were the sympathizer of the peasants cause. Okay, so they actually recommended for the 1/3 land revenue system, means 1/3 should be charged from the peasants, but because of some cunning peoples were there, and they got farmers manipulated, and they got appointed this Bedla Rao as their representative, and because of this Bedla Rao, the farmers actually lost their ground on field, and finally they had to compromise, and they actually plowed their land which was earlier left fallowed, है ना। अपन ने देखा यहाँ पे इन्होंने खाली छोड़ दी थी, बट फार्मर्स जो है उनको मैनिपुलेट कर दिया गया, बेदला राव इनके रिप्रेजेंटेटिव अपॉइंट कर दिए गए, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दीज ऑल पॉलिटिक्स दे हैड टू प्लो देयर लैंड फाइनली। ओके, सो दिस वाज अ काइंड ऑफ कॉम्प्रोमाइज। सो here you can see there was in phase first, this was the partial success, means these taxes were removed, 6 taxes, lagbag taxes were removed out of 81, but here you will see again there was a compromise because of this Bedla Rao. Although you might have seen this, these two people were very much had their sympathy with the peasants, but still we can conclude with the phase first that yes, it was the partial success and partial failure for the farmers in the phase first. Now we'll come to the phase 2 of this movement. Okay, so this phase of the movement was most organized part of the movement. Because of this Vijay Singh Pathik, he was the actual or the main factor behind this organized peasant movement. So actually it was the begari at that time which became the issue of opposition. Okay, so it was the year of 1915 when Ras Bihari Bose sent this Vijay Singh Pathik to the Rajasthan for the help the farmers, and he came in Rajasthan in the period of 1915. And when he came to the Rajasthan, he started his work, or he organized the peasants with the help of his Vidya Pracharni Sabha. He established this Vidya Pracharni Sabha at Bijolia, यो इन्होंने बनाई, and with the help of this Vidya Pracharni Sabha, प्रचारनी मतलब क्या होता है, प्रचार करना, so he organized the students and he assembled the night prachars. Okay, सो नाइट में वो क्या करते थे, असेंबलीज के मतलब ऐसा प्रचार करते रहते थे कि क्यों हमें यूनाइट होना चाहिए, क्या है प्रेजेंट्स की समस्याएं, ये सब ये प्रचारित करते थे। एंड दिस विद्या प्रचारणी सभा ही हैड मेड विद द हेल्प ऑफ दिस डूंगर सिंह भाटी, जो कि कौन थे, सहायक मैनेजर थे, डेप्यूटी मुंसरिम ही वाज। ओके ओके, so formally he joined the movement in the 1916, and it was Sadhu Sitaram who requested him to join the peasant movement. Okay, so finally he joined this movement in 1916, and he actually prepared the generation, upcoming generation of leaders, the leaders like Manikya Lal Verma, Dungar Singh Bhati, Sadhu Sitaram, Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi, and Haribhau Upadhyay. This generation of leaders was prepared by this Vijay Singh Pathik, है ना? He was a very able leader. Okay, so what he did, he actually arranged the land records. And how he arranged the land records? With the help of Dungar Singh Bhati, because he was the deputy Munsrim. So he arranged these land records and other secret documents where what were the conditions peasants were signed in with. ओके, सो ही कुड नो देम बेटर, और सारे जब उनको पता लग गए कि इन कारणों से किसान बंधे हुए हैं और क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, तो इसकी वजह से वो बेटर ऑर्गेनाइज कर पाए किसानों को। Okay, so this was the main point, how he organized and how he helped the farmers in this legal way also. Okay, and he also had his newspaper, that was Uparmal ka Danka. Uparmal was nothing but the Bijolia. Uparmal इसी का ही पहले नाम था बिजोलिया का. So Uparmal ka Danka was the publication or the newspaper printed by this Vijay Singh Pathik only, and it was in Mewari language, so that most of the people could know what the situation is and what are the causes of the farmers. Okay, and he also established this Uparmal Panch Board, that was the Kisan Panchayat, and this was established in the period of 1917. You have to remember this one because Vijay Singh Pathik is an important personality of the Rajasthan, and his contributions become very important in our exam. Okay, so Shri Manna Patel was the first this Sarpanch of this Uparmal Panch Board. So what they decided, this was the supreme body which was going to decide what should be the actions taken on the part of the peasants. Okay, so Kisan Panchayat decided not to provide illegal taxes, means lakhs वो अब नहीं देंगे, and also the begari should be ended, और बेगारी में भी वो काम नहीं करेंगे. Okay, this was the decision taken by this Uparmal Panch Board. Okay, so what were the methods adopted by them? Means in this second phase, Panchida songs were very popular. Panchida songs were written by Manikya Lal Verma. They were actually depicting the picture of the farmers, and these were very important. So if 2 marker question comes that Panchida Geets, you have to remember these were the songs written by Manikya Lal Verma. These were also the songs where the farmers were getting organized behind this Pezolia peasant movement. Okay, so Manikya Lal Verma also went to the Congress session in 1918. So in phase first you have learned that this movement was of local nature, but in this phase 2 you are seeing that they are also going to the Congress session. Means the picture of the peasants in Rajasthan is now going to be depicted at the national level. Means this movement is reaching to national stage in this phase 2. Okay, it was the Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi also. His paper was Pratap. It was printed from Kanpur. He also published many of the problems of Bijolia peasants, है ना, तो कानपुर से भी हमें हेल्प मिल रही थी. Okay, and it was the Pathik who was a very important leader. He met to the Gandhi ji in 1918. He also went to the Congress session of 1919 and 20. So actually what is going on, they are meeting with the big leaders of the India at that time, and the issue is now getting the national canvas. Okay, national canvas पे ये issue को depict किया जा रहा था, and Vijay Singh Pathik, Manikya Lal Verma, both were doing their job in a very great manner. Okay, the Pathik also met with Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji, and he printed in his Maratha newspaper what all the problems these peasants were facing in Rajasthan. So this was the contribution of Pathik ji, and the most important one was this Rajasthan Seva Sangh. He established this Rajasthan Seva Sangh, and this was the most important organization which was providing its leadership to this movement. Also they provided leadership to the upcoming movement of this Begu. We'll see in detail when I'll teach you the Begu movement, है ना. So how this Rajasthan Seva Sangh actually provided the leadership to this Begu movement. So this organization becomes very important, although it was established in Wardha, but later it was shifted to the Rajasthan. Okay, and this Rajasthan Kesari was also printed by this Pathik ji, and it was financed by Jamna Lal Bajaj. Okay, तो पैसा जो आना है पेपर के पीछे वो देंगे सेठ जमना लाल बजाज. So these things were going on, but still the suppression of Mewar was continuous. Mewar was very adamant in. We'll see what all the investigation commissions were appointed in this phase of the movement. It was the period of 1919 when a commission, that was Bindulal Bhattacharya commission, was appointed. It was Afzal Ali and Amar Singh Ranawat. They were the members of this Bindulal Bhattacharya commission. So what they said in their recommendation, that yes, the problems and demands of the peasants are legitimate. Okay, but no action was taken by this Maharana chief because because of their adamant nature. Okay, and the most important thing you must see here, the Congress was not in full and open support of this movement. Why? Because 1938 and 39, that was Tripuri session and Haripura session. Before these sessions, the stand of Congress was not to intervene in the matters of princely state. Okay, so they were not actually fully supporting this movement at this time, because this time was 1920s. Okay, so they were not providing their full leadership or the full support to the movement. So it was the Bindulal Bhattacharya commission. This becomes very important one. The next important commission was appointed in 1920. It was Mehta Takht Singh commission. The members were Ramakant Malviya and Rao Bidla Singh. The recommendations again were like Lata Kunta system should be ended, Lagbag taxes should be removed, and the Begari Pratha should be ended. But again, certain conditions were imposed on the farmers, and these humiliating conditions were there, and therefore peasants were not ready to accept these conditions, and finally the agreement could not be reached into its final stage. Okay, so in the period of 1922, it was the East India Company. They pressurized the Maharana of Udaipur that this movement is now getting the national attention, you should do something. And this was the committee. Robert Holland commission was appointed. Robert Holland was adjunct to Governor General in Rajputana. This was appointed in 1922. The member of this commission was resident of Udaipur, मतलब जो ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का एक आदमी बैठता था उदयपुर की सभा में, that was Wilkinson. तो विल्किंसन था. एंड द बिजोलिया किसान पंचायत जो बनी थी उनके हेड थे मोती चंद, एंड द मानिक्यलाल वर्मा was also the member of this commission. The final agreement was reached and most of the Lagbag taxes were ended. Demands of the peasants were accepted and the detained farmers were released because of this commission's recommendation. Okay, so it was the period of 1922 when this agreement was reached. So between 1922 to 27 there was a complete peace. Phase 3, and Pathik ji was not there into the picture because of this Begu Kisan movement. He was jailed for the period of 5 years. This was also going on, Begu Kisan movement. We'll see in detail into the upcoming videos. So third phase was between 1923 to 41, and Pathik ji was in the jail in between. The leader was it was Manikyalal Verma. Why this issue was again organized and this opposition was again going on in the in this area? Because we have seen that between 92 to 26 there was a complete peace. There nothing had happened. Okay, so it was the period when Bijolia has seen no rainfall, and still in 1926 some of the taxes were raised or increased in nature. So this made the farmers agitated, and because of the vagaries of monsoon at one hand, at the same time they were facing the illegal taxation. Okay, illegal raised taxation वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा था. So they were actually unhappy with these two things. Okay, and they got united and they started opposing these two things. Now it was the Trench who actually came into the picture. He was the settlement officer. He tried to manage the issue between Panchayat and Thikana, and finally what happened, this was failed, and Verma ji was arrested and expelled from the Mewar. He was उसको निकाल दिया गया कि मेवाड़ से ही भगा दो मानिक्यलाल वर्मा को. So now farmers left the lands fallow because of these issues, and the leadership was now on the Jamnalal Bajaj and Haribhau Upadhyay. They were now the actual leaders of the movement. Haribhau Upadhyay also met the Gandhi ji. He told the problems of peasants to Gandhi ji. Now So in 1931, what happened? This Udaipur Maharana and his PM Sukhdev, they accepted the demands of the peasants, but it could not last the long because of some politics. And finally, it was the period of 1941 when Vijay Raghav Acharya was appointed as the PM of this Mewar, and with him his revenue minister, and it was the Mohan Singh Mehta. It was Mohan Singh Mehta. He was the revenue minister of this Vijay Raghav Acharya. So this final could be reached, and this agreement could be reached its to its final stage. And from this peasant side, it was Manikyalal Verma, and the second person you can remember here, that that punch board, that sarpanch was Kisna Patel. Kisna Patel. And the third member you can here remember, that was Ganpat Lal Verma. His contribution was also there in this movement. So this final agreement was reached under Manikyalal Verma's leadership. Kisna Patel and Ganpat Lal Verma were also there. So this this issue finally got resolved, and the peasant movement was ended now in the period of 1941. Okay, so now we come to the specifications of this peasant movement. The first and most important specification was, it was the first organized peasant movement of the India. It was non-violent in nature, and it was the longest movement also. You have to remember this one also. It was completely organized by the local leadership. There was no national leader as per we have seen this in our detail also. And it also led the path for other movements, like Begu Kisan movement was inspired by this movement only. The contribution of women, you can remember here, Anjana Devi Chaudhary was there, Narayani Verma was there, Rama Devi was there, and children and students also participated in this movement. So this was a very important thing also. And it also inspired the feeling of nationalism, because it inspired the generation of leaders to go into the fields and to understand the problem of the peasants. And also, so if you like this video, please share and subscribe. Thank you very much.